Okay, so we are going to start by creating an image plane, and I want to make sure that I'm on my polygons submenu, and let's go to create, polygon primitives, and plane option box. Now I'm not going to go through all the options of all of these tools. I'm going to try to explain as much as I can, but I assume that you already know a little bit about Maya. So let's I'll try to move as fast as I can with this, and then if you have any questions you can just post them or email them to me. I want to make sure that my subdivisions on the width and height are set to 1 and 1, and my front axis is the Z axis. So click on Z and create. I want to scale this plane, probably as big as the grid, and I want to move it up because I'm going to use this grid as my floor plane. Open up your Hypershade window, rendering editors, and Hypershade. What you're going to notice here next to Hypershade is this little control 1. This means that I already have a hotkey set for this. So later on, if you see the Hypershade all of a sudden pop up, is because I'm pressing control 1. And I recommend that you set some hotkeys for yourself. And I'll remind you every time I do it. But just be aware of this. So window, rendering editors, and Hypershade. Let's wait for it a little bit. And the reason why it's a little bit slow is because I'm recording and using Maya at the same time on this awful computer. And there you go. It works when I insult it. I want to create a Lambert. And the reason why I use a Lambert is because it doesn't have any of the specular or the little shininess that any of these other materials have. And it works because you're able to see it better on your front view. And again, it doesn't have any of the reflective properties of any other material. Let's name our Lambert. And image underscore plane underscore Lambert. The reason why I use underscore whenever I name anything or whenever you name anything on Maya is because Maya doesn't like spaces. So it's just a habit that anybody that uses Maya has. So image plane Lambert. And what I want to do is map this color with a file. Click on this little checker box on the right side next to color. And I want a file there, so click on file. This other window is going to pop up and it's going to be asking for the image name. I want to click on the folder to go look for my image. And I already have a folder here where I saved a few images for reference. I will make this available to you on my website. Click on my South Park Satan and open. Again, I want to open up my Hypershade window, rendering editors, Hypershade. And it's right here. So I want to middle mouse click and drag. I'm going to close this. Let's scale it down. You're going to be able to notice, you can notice here that he's a little bit stretched out. So I want to scale this down to make him look normal. Open up my channel box and I want to set a layer specifically for my image plane. New layer. And let's name this layer image underscore plane underscore layer. It's the reason why I name my layer is because later on, well, right after I name this, I'm also going to name my image plane, and if both the image plane and the layer have the name image plane, it's going to have, Maya's going to have a problem with it. It's not going to let you, so you always specify that a layer is a layer, just because Maya doesn't know what it's doing. So I want to save it, and let's make it red. Assign add selected objects, and let's make sure that it's working. Make it visible, and I want to name my image plane, and I'll name it Satan image underscore plane. I want to move it a little bit back because I'm gonna start drawing on the front view. And if I start drawing right now, I'm just gonna show you real quick what's going to happen. Create polygon. Let's go to mesh and create polygon tool. I'm gonna start tracing this Satan. I'm just going to trade this little part for now. Press return. And what's going to happen is that when you create your polygon, it's going to overlap your image. And you don't want that. Let me get rid of this. So what I want to do before I start modeling is I want to grab my image plane and move it just a little bit back. And you can move it a lot back if you want, but I'm just going to move it a little bit back. Because when I model the polygons, when I model on my front view, the polygons are made right on the middle axis of my grid. I want to template my image, or I want to reference it, and make sure that you're not able to grab it. I want to go back to my front view. And the way that I approach my modeling, I want to get rid of this grid. The way that I approach my modeling is in a way which you use just for making either either to draw, to paint, or for sculpture. And what you do is approach things from big to medium to small, which this means that you're gonna start with the biggest shape first, then move on to medium shapes, and then do the small shapes at the end, and details are going to be the very last thing that you want. The biggest shape on this devil is probably the middle of the body here. This entire shape making the body. I want to go to my front view and create polygon primitives, or not, sorry. I want to go to mesh and create polygon tool. I want to zoom in a little bit, and I want to start from the top. Also, another thing that you do when you're making any kind of 3D models is you only model half of your character, because later on you just duplicate this side to the other side, and then you have your full model. There's no point on tracing the entire thing. So let's start from the top of the head. I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. Try to keep a little bit of that curvature that it has here. Beginning of the ear. I just want to use 2 points for this ear. One here. Follow the curvature. One around there, and here I just click and drag. See this? Click, hold my mouse button and drag. Click, click. I'm gonna skip the hands because for the hands we're gonna model separate objects that are later on going to be interchangeable. So let's just not model the hands for now. I want to go onto the chest, and I'm just making half of this silhouette. I'm not going to go in. I'll draw those outlines later. I just want to keep going all around this belly here. It's a big shape. I'm not going to cut through there. I'm just going to make it go down to the middle of the skull probably. And there's my half of my Satan. Now you notice here that this point on top of the head and the point here in the middle of the skull don't exactly match. Let me display my grid. And what I want to do is make sure that my vertex, let me get rid of this extra vertex here, is right in the middle of the grid. Move it back, snap to grid, grab it, press X, move it back. You can see that my devil is not perfectly centered. There's one thing that I forgot to do. So let me center it a little bit more. I want to make sure that the nose is right in the middle of my grid. And make it a reference again. Get rid of this grid now. Select these vertex and just make it match my shape. Grab it, move it, grab it, move it out, grab it, move it out. Computer's lagging a little bit. It can't handle the recording in Maya at the same time, but hopefully it's fast enough to where we can go at a decent speed through all of these stuff. It's fairly simple stuff. It shouldn't be anything heavy, so I think the computer will do fine. So let's keep going with this. Just want to keep as close to these lines as possible. Doesn't have to be exact, because later on when you zoom out it's gonna look fine. So as long as it's there, it doesn't have to be exact. Grab it, move it, and there it is. I want to duplicate this shape. Edit, duplicate special, option box. Let me reset my settings so that we all have the same settings. And what I want to do here is I want to make an instance for now. And before I duplicate it, I want to make sure that the pivot of my object is in the middle, right in the middle of the grid. I want to display my grid. Get the pivot, move it up, and it's perfectly in the middle. If it's not, you can just hold X and move it to the middle of the body. I want to duplicate, so instance, I want it negative on the Z axis. This represents X, Y, and Z. I want to put a -1 there, and let's apply. Wait, did I make it? Oh. Hold on, what's going on here? X, Y, Z, yeah, X, Y, oh no. I want to make a negative on the X axis, I think. apply, and there you go. There's the other half of your devil. I want to move this back. You're gonna see that the next big shape here is probably, well, let's continue with the red part. Another thing that you approach besides the big, medium to small shapes is background to foreground. So the thing that it seems to be farthest on the back to me is the hands, or the arms and the legs. So let's continue with the arms and legs. I want to go back to my front view now that I have the body. And again, create, polygon primitives, or sorry, I keep going back to the create menu, but it's under mesh actually. Mesh, create polygon tool. I don't use my menus that much anymore. Most of the tools I just add them up to my shelf. So if I keep going to the wrong menus once in a while, I apologize. I want to create the left hand, or his right hand. I want to start from the shoulder. Actually, I want to start from around here because when we model the body, this is where we started. I'm going to make the shoulder, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make sure that you have as nice curvature as you can. Just hit delete if you do something wrong. Click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Try to do it as fast as I can, just so that you didn't get bored watching me model. I'm gonna pause the modeling. If you want at this point, you can just keep going doing your own, and then skip some of this video to the later lessons. But I want to show everyone just a basic technique. Click, drag, click, 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 click. What I'm doing here, you're gonna notice that you're not gonna be able to see the entire silhouette of your arm. So just click, drag, see where my shape is, but the belly is overlapping the arm, so I'm just going to imagine that it just keeps going somewhere around there. There, make a little bit of a bicep. Move back. And then finally end here in the chest. You can do a little bit of refinement later on by just grabbing vertex. And I don't want any of these sharp, very sharp edges. So I just curve it a little bit. And everything else seems to be fine. There's my hand. I want to duplicate it also. You're gonna notice that my pivot is in the middle. So edit, duplicate special. I don't need to go to the settings again, because when we were modeling the body, we set them up. So Maya remembers that we want an instance and we want it on the negative x-axis. So just apply. Now I have my body and arms. I want to move on to the legs. So remember, big to medium to small, and background to foreground. Just something to keep in mind in general whenever you're modeling or whenever you're doing figure drawing or painting. Always the same. It's always the same technique. Big shapes to medium shapes to small shapes, and then detail at the very end, and then background to foreground. It's very effective. It gives you order whenever you're making something. So now let's move on to the legs. And again, This time I'm not gonna go to the mesh menu. Let's go to my shelf. I have my create polygon tool somewhere. I know I have it somewhere. And if it's not, you can just add it by holding Control Shift. So I guess I can't find it. I know it's there, but let's go to Mesh. And I'm holding Control and Shift and create polygon tool. So you can see that it added my tool there. So I'm going to click here. And let's move on to the legs. Start clicking somewhere around there. Here. You always want to use as few vertex as possible. The really good modelers use very little geometry to do lots of detail, or good modelers show a lot of detail with little geometry, and that's what you want to achieve. I mean, in here, no matter how many points we use, it's still going to be a pretty light model just because it's 2D. But don't go crazy by just doing a whole bunch of little vertices to make a curvature, because remember that later on the model that we're gonna see is gonna be out of around this size, and all those little points that you made there are kinda useless. So let me go back and delete some of this stuff. And remember, just as few points as possible. Back of the leg. Give it 2 for the little curve. Want to click, drag, and you can see this is a big straight line. So I might have put too many points on this side, but it's okay. I can delete them later on. Click, drag, click, drag. Not going to be able to see through, but who cares? Just move it all the way up. I'll just try to put 2 points. Just my left leg. Duplicate special. Apply. Let's move it out a little bit. You don't want it to be exactly symmetrical. If you want, I guess it's okay, but let's move it. Let's make this hoofs. Create. Oh, sorry. Just go to my create polygon tool over here. You can also set hotkeys for this thing, but I haven't, so I'm not going to go through that process right now. I'm going to create my hoof. And again, using as few points as possible. A little curvature, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. You can fast forward if you're watching this video. All I'm doing is the same basic modeling concept for all of these. Just click, drag. You're just tracing your model right now. You want to make sure that it's made in several parts, because later on we're going to attach some of these parts to joints. I want to refine this when I finish my model. Move it, drag it, move it, drag it. Let's make this, well, let's move this back and continue modeling the rest of the body, well, the rest of the accessories. We'll move this back a little bit just to hide them for now. You can make a new layer for them if you want. Let's duplicate this. And I should probably close this so that it doesn't get in your way. And I don't mind it there, but let's just move it anyways. Remember, when we're modeling, background to foreground, so the thing farthest on the back from this area here is this underwear thing that he has. So let's trace that. Let's go back to front view. I don't like the grid. Create polygon tool. Let's start tracing from the middle here. click drag, and then I'll keep a little bit of that broken shape going. And these, you're gonna notice that these things are not completely spiky, so you wanna give it kind of like a square there rather than just a triangle. Move up, move up, move up. Click drag. And again, I'm going a little bit fast. Take your time whenever you're modeling your own. And try to do it as well. Try to do it fast, but I'm going a little bit too fast on these because I have limited time on this videos. I don't know what's the limit that I can, the limit of the size that I can upload on YouTube. So I'll probably stop in a little bit and then continue in a separate video. Click, drag. You also don't want to leave it too simple. Let's just go all the way up there. I'll just finish in the middle. Let me see my grid. Finish right in the middle here. Press enter. I want to move this vertex because you can see that there's some overlapping going on here, something going crazy. That's my vertex overlapping, so I want to move this right to the middle, and you can see how it fixes everything on there by just moving it. I want to snap to grid, so hold X and move it, hold X and move it again. I'm not going to go through all the options that I'm using. Later on, if you guys need, ask some questions and I can post other more simple tutorials on how, what it is exactly that I'm doing whenever I move these things. But this is if you're an intermediate Maya user, you should be able to follow along fairly well. So there's my Satan's underwear. I want to move it back. And I'm not going to do the other side yet. I want to make, well, this thong thing. I don't know, I'm calling this part underwear, but it's just like a fur thing that he has on the hips. Again, create polygon tool. Click, click, click. You can, like I said, you can give it a little bit more detail if you want. Just want to go as fast as possible so that the videos don't take too much space. Finally, the skull, and you can see that what I was talking about before, we started with this big shape of the body, then medium shapes, which is the arms and the legs, and the hooves can be considered medium shapes. This can be considered medium shapes here too. And then at the end, we're going to do all the details on the face. So I want to start finally on this skull. Create polygon tool. And I just want to do half of it. You can see that it's a little bit off center, but I don't care, I'll fix it later. So I'm just going to trace half of my skull, and then as soon as I finish this, I will finish this lesson 1, and we will continue on the details on the next video. Let me delete, well, let me hide my picture just so that you can see my model. There it is. Let me show your wireframe. And there's all the basic parts for your model. I want to duplicate. Oops. Oh, damn it. I don't know what I just did. I think I just messed with my recording. So anyways, I'll continue the rest of this model on the next video.